All right, Ike, in the news this week to start off, I don't know if you happened by an interesting article about a company called Zero Labs. It's doing an electric Bronco conversion. So if you're too impatient to wait for the electric Bronco, which apparently Ford is going to make an electric Bronco at some point in the future, that makes sense. I mean, of course they would. I think the F-150, the Lightning, the electric F-150 is like the most popular electric car of all time that doesn't exist yet. But they're doing an electric Bronco. But before they do, this company, Zero Labs, is going to do some Bronco conversions. I guess they've done one because there's one real picture on their website. The rest are sort of SolidWorks drawings or renderings of cars. But they also, according to their website, will do a Series Land Rover for you.
Yeah, I have seen, I guess, several of their press releases floating around on like sponsored Facebook, content and sponsored Instagram content for quite a while now. I'm going to say maybe a year or more. And I have yet to see anything other than vaporware with respect to the Land Rover. So I think they're trying to get somebody to bankroll their project, essentially. Yeah.
I mean, it's an interesting concept. I mean, it sounds like they'll do a restoration on a Series Land Rover, so you can just pay them some dollar amount, which would be pretty significant. And they're going to throw in a vintage Series Land Rover that they found somewhere and restore it, repaint it, redo the interior and all that sort of business, and then really just drop that body shell on top of their sort of platform. They've got this, sort of EV platform, and you can sort of customize it to a certain degree. They have two battery sizes. With the largest one, they have a 100 kilowatt hour battery, which is apparently good for 235 miles, which is a pretty usable amount of range. I guess it DC fast charges, does all that kind of stuff. You can get a single or a dual motor configuration, which I think is kind of cool, that you can have four-wheel drive done with dual motor with a little torque vector between the two motors, which is kind of cool. I guess it's interesting. I guess if you don't get dual motor, you just have a two-wheel drive car, I guess.
Perhaps.
I assume so. Yeah, I assume
yeah.
So, yeah.
What I'm not sure about is, like, does this platform exist,
or is it also just a SolidWorks drawing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a great question. They're made here in California, apparently. Maybe I'll drive over there and check it out. The Google Street View. They
have several photos. Well, I won't call them photos. I'll say pictures on their website. And, they have the, sort of progression, which looks very simple. Mm-hmm. They just remove the body and then they rebuild it and they put it on their platform, right?
Yeah.
But the platform does not look like it would accommodate an actual Series Land Rover body.
Right.
So
that may be troublesome.
I think that might be a problem.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like restoring any car. I mean, first you find an old car, then you restore the old car, and then you have a restored car. It's just that simple.
It looks like there are only 4 steps, so I can't imagine this taking more than a week.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. It does have independent front and rear suspension, which would be kind of interesting in a series car. Disc brakes, air suspension, all that sort of stuff are options. It is kind of interesting because the chassis is not even remotely a Series Land Rover anymore. You're really putting a Series body or a Bronco body on top of this sort of skateboard of electric car, and then I imagine just hooking up the sort of controls, right? Which you just run some lag screws down through the Series Land Rover floors into the batteries. Yeah, I think they've got some strips of pressure treated lumber along the side. You just screw into it, and you're good to go. You just use some deck screws, get something galvanized to so it's sort of in fashion, and you'll be all right.
I mean, I can't imagine somebody. There's got to be somebody who's just like, oh, this is a great idea. Here, have a bunch of money. But somebody's got to be like, have you ever done this before? Does this how does this work exactly? Because your photographs don't make it Makes sense.
And you look at the jaunt guys down in Australia. I'm sorry, New Zealand, I believe. No, it is Australia, I think, and one of the two. And I apologize to both countries for not knowing which one is there. I know you're very different, but the videos that gentleman has posted. We should reach out to that guy at some point. He seems like a fun guy to talk to. It's an extensive amount of engineering that they've done to be able to electrify the series cars in the way that they do. It just feels like, the option of just switching your series truck over onto an electric skateboard is maybe not quite as straightforward as you would hope. I certainly think, the Bronco Icon is doing Broncos, and they've basically completely remanufactured the superstructure of the Bronco in order to make it even remotely safe enough to drive on modern roads at high speeds and things like that. So I can't imagine you can just take the Bronco body and just stick it on top of the skateboard either. Maybe you can. I don't know. Maybe if really all you're talking about is a body shell, maybe it doesn't matter. All of the steering dynamics and everything, they're all mostly akin to the chassis platform, and it's going to be so crazy heavy because of all the batteries and everything located in it. Maybe you don't have to worry about it rolling over and things like Broncos would sometimes do.
Maybe the thing is we're not considering the scale. Does it say the scale anywhere on the website? Maybe it's like a model.
Oh, it's an RC. It could be an RC. You're right. Yeah, you're right. It's 1/12 scale. So it's for G.I. Joe. You can put a Barbie in it. And
it's going to be horribly disappointed when you get it. You're just going to be
it's funny. Liza, my wife, it's Christmas time, and we have an insane Christmas decorating thing. We live on one of those streets, this cul-de-sac, where all the houses decorate. It's absurd. It was disclosed when we bought the house as some things are there's a child molester that lives on your street, or there was a murder in your home, or no, we got the houses heavily decorated for Christmas, houses it's on the same level as someone was murdered here. And it's true. It's a serious amount of decorating. So we thought, wouldn't it be fun to have a lighted lamp post, out on the sidewalk? Maybe it has a little sign or something very Christmassy and festive.
Yeah.
Liza found this great deal. An amazing deal for one on Amazon. She's like, this thing was only it was $25. It was so cheap. And it showed up, and literally it was 6 inches tall. It was amazing.
So that's what's going to happen with this electric Land Rover.
Yeah, you're going to get a 6-inch tall Series 3 Land Rover. Given that, having 235 miles of range, that is really impressive. That is very impressive. Anyways, if you did want to buy this 1/6 scale Land Rover model, the Bronco starts at $185,000. But it can go up to as much as $400,000, depending on what you'd like to do with it. I would like, for $400,000, I'd like to have the series of bodies just hanging in the garage, and then just park the skateboard under the one that I'd like to drive that day, and just lower it on, tighten up the deck screws inside and go.
I don't see anything. I don't see why that's not reasonable.
Well, I wonder how it performs in the winter. I wonder, because it's an entirely battery-based car. I wonder how it is in the winter, which is a carefully crafted segue into our next segment, which is
you're going to have to ask yourself that when you do your trip.
I'm going. Well, yeah, it's going to be amazing. That's going to be. We'll talk about the plan. Talk about the big expedition plan at some point in the future. Stay tuned in the Underpowered Hour cinematic universe that we are building. You can find out more about that. But today we wanted to talk a little bit, as it's getting chilly outside here in California. It is almost 60 degrees outside. So there are people who are dressed for an expedition to Mount Everest. They have the furry hoods on, Ugg boots, their heavy layered pants, heavy down jacket, the Canada Goose jackets.
You folks like your outdoor clothing, don't you?
Yeah, they're wrapping themselves in Canada Geese just to sort of stay warm. Anything they can do. Again, I mean, the temperature could get as cold as 55 degrees here, Ike, which I know people start dying here in Beverly Hills when it is 55 degrees. They go outside and just immediately panic.
Can't wait till it gets to 50.
Oh, that's unheard of, unheard of. A state of emergency is declared, much like when it rains here. Just a state of emergency. Everyone crashes into everyone else. It's insane. So as the weather gets colder in the rest of the country, where it's actually cold, or back home where in Canmore, where there's already probably 3 feet of snow, we thought maybe we would talk about winter weather prep. For your classic or series Land Rover. In my case, I drove my Defender. Defender new, so I drove a NAS Defender every day for many years in Canada in serious winter weather, or with a soft top on it. And then I did get one of those fiberglass tops that they had that like fit over the roll cage. I think it made it much worse. And then eventually it got so cold that trying to close the tailgate one day, it just simply broke right off the car. The hinges just snapped off the roof, and that was the end of that. I had to take it and just shove it in the back of the car and drive around with a gaping hole in the back of the Defender for a few days until I could get that stupid thing off and get the soft top back on. So.
Yeah, the fiberglass tops are not renowned for their durability.
Yeah, it was not great. It was not great. However, I still to this day feel like the roof on that car would have made the ultimate 4-man downhill toboggan. I think it's the perfect shape,
first
perfect
bump,
material.
they would have come apart.
It just exploded.
The first one, yeah, it would have exploded. Everyone would have died of a fiberglass shard to the heart.
Oh my god! I mean, it is like seriously, the hinges snapped away, and it was razor sharp, and then the struts were still on, and I inexplicably couldn't break the struts off because I had tools, but they weren't the right size for the stupid fiddly little nuts that they put on there. And anyways, it was quite the ordeal to deal with that thing. But yeah, then went back to the soft top and it was just really cold all the time. My
friend's fiberglass top died in a hailstorm.
Oh yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah.
I got a roof from a military from a Wolf car that I got out in Suffield. I think I've told that story before. That the Canadian Forces has a joint base out in Suffield, and they would surplus Land Rover stuff all the time. In fact, I went to a surplus auction of Land Rovers that looked like they were blown up by a tank fire, but they were still selling them. So, anyways, got a roof that way, and metal roof made a big difference.
Nice.
Also, I rhino-lined the inside of it. I know.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's
rhino-lined. Yeah. I know you like the rhino lining. Anyways, so preparing your classic Land Rover, like what are some of the things that you like to do to a 2.25 or an older diesel car maybe to get them ready for the frigid temperatures that are about to, or have in many cases already befallen the country?
Yeah, I think that these cars are fairly hardy in terms of driving them and starting them and so forth in cold weather. I'm from Indiana originally, and I didn't have any trouble starting these cars in temperatures as cold as -30 Fahrenheit, which is reasonably cold.
Under zero, yep.
Yeah. I think some of the things that are important to remember when you're driving these cars in cold weather is that, the heater isn't going to work unless the coolant gets warm.
Yeah.
And that means that you have to have coolant in it, which a lot of people forget. And you also have to make sure that the thermostat that's in the car is of a temperature that is on the warmer side so that the heater works its best. Now, a lot of people don't touch their thermostat, don't think about their thermostat, don't change it out when it gets cold. But there are several different thermostats that were made for Series Land Rovers all the way from 72 Celsius to 88 Celsius.
Yep.
Now, the warmer the thermostat is, the hotter it's going to get before it opens, and that means the better the heater is going to work. So on a Series Land Rover, the 88 degree, which is now kind of an unusual thermostat, I think the other one's 82 degrees.
Yeah, 82.
Those two thermostats are the best ones to use in colder weather, and it's going to make your heater work better. For those of you who bought a Santana off of eBay, I'm really sorry because those cars generally don't have heaters at all.
Yeah, we just don't have anything at all. Yeah.
Don't have anything at all. But other folks, they've got the Smith's round heater, or they've got the Kodiaks, and the Kodiaks are quite actually good. But most Land Rovers of that vintage, the door seals is really what lets them down. All the cold air coming in
Yeah.
You know,
or the scuttle vent, the dash vent seals not not sealing at all. I had that problem in my Stage 1. It was cold enough this morning that having that cold air blow past
that
the
60-degree air.
Ooh, yeah, that's just a frigid 65-degree air.
Well, see, on a Stage 1, it's no problem because you've only got about 10 minutes until that sucker overheats.
Well, the heater doesn't work. The heater, in fact, isn't the heater valve was deleted because they famously rust to shit inside and turn to nothing. So they simply bypassed it entirely and just ran the lines directly to the heater core. But then the heater core isn't hooked up to anything, so it can't be turned on, and the little flapper door can't be actuated open. So the heater just doesn't work at all, which again is no problem at all because, like you said, 10 minutes after it started, the engine is already just about overheating. So it's it's fine. It radiant heats from the transmission, which is a nice feature of the Stage 1 that you don't get in other cars. But my Series 3 doesn't ever get really warm enough to provide any kind of serious amount of heat in the from the heater core by the time I get to where I'm going, 10-15 minutes away. What's your thought on a radiator cover of some kind, a radiator muff? Do you subscribe to that, or are you?
I love the muff. I love the muff. I love the muff.
Yeah, you do.
The radiator muff can help you achieve a warm temperature in the cooling system more quickly than not using it. So it certainly can be helpful in super cold weather. I know sometimes we go to Death Valley and it gets super cold there in the single digits Fahrenheit. And so it really does make a difference when you're driving at a reasonable speed to use that radiator muff. Keeps the heat in the radiator. And I use an 88-degree thermostat on the cars that I bring there. But still, it helps it to keep and maintain that temperature in super cold weather. So yeah, absolutely. My favorite manufacturer of radiator muff is Coors Light. I like to use the Coors Light box. Is that
because it's as cold as the Rocky Mountains when you apply it?
It's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah.
No,
it works,
and it
really
well.
Sets the paint off as well, I think.
Yeah, they sell a lot of these fancy radiator muffs on the internet, and a lot of shops sell them. They're just like special, vinyl or
quilted vinyl somehow.
Nylon.
Keeps your radiator nice and cozy.
Yeah, but you got to take the grill off and all this stuff. So just put a box over it. It's great.
Yeah, in Canada, in the summers. Slight segue. We would use screen door material over the radiator because the grasshoppers are so large driving through the prairies that if one of them comes at your radiator at the right angle, it'll punch a hole right through your radiator. So you need the screen door material to catch them before they do damage to your radiator, bust a hole in your radiator.
A plague of locusts. What have you Canadians been doing?
Yeah, we're this and that, this and that. That's why the Canada geese are so goddamn humongous because of the
it's a curse.
It's a cold war between the two of them. Like which ones can get bigger?
Locusts or geese?
Yeah, locusts get bigger so the geese don't eat them, and the geese get bigger so they can eat them, and it's just a slow progression. Pretty soon we're going to have, geese the size of a Volkswagen.
Giant woolly geese of Canada roaming the plains.
That's how this whole thing ends, with the giant tundra geese of Saskatchewan.
Jurassic goose.
Yeah. Oh man. Nothing sucks worse than a geesing. I'll tell you that much right now. Really good. Anyways, so what do you have in the car? Like when you're going to you're doing a death, or even better, going for me up in the mountains, up to Canmore and things like that in the Rockies. What kind of shit do you carry with you? I certainly carry a medical kit. And
I reviewed your list. I'll be honest.
Oh, you reviewed it? Yeah,
I reviewed your list before the show, and let me go through that for our listeners.
Yeah.
We got a medical kit. Right? Yeah. And we got a recovery gear. We got flares.
Yeah.
We got an overnight sleep kit.
Yeah.
We got a small shovel.
Yeah.
And we got a traction mat.
Yeah. Those are some examples, not necessarily what I have in the car, but those are some examples.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what I do here. Medical kit, tarp, right? You can use it as a tourniquet. You can use it to stay warm. Just tarp. Right,
just a tarp.
Yeah, recovery
tarp
gear,
or like a plastic tarp, or like a fabric tarp.
Like you mean an oiled canvas tarp versus a nylon tarp?
Yeah.
Either will work. Okay.
I don't think Linus has ever owned anything but an oiled canvas. Does he own anything that isn't oiled canvas?
No, even his underwear is oiled canvas. Yeah. It's true. It's true. Yeah. And he oils it himself. Recovery gear. No. Tarp. Okay. You can you can roll it up and use it as a rope, or you can put it under the wheels. Tarp. Tarp. Yep. Okay. Flares. Tarp. You can just set it on fire. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Overnight sleep kit.
Yeah. Well, that's
tarp.
Obvious. Tarp.
Just roll yourself up like a burrito. You got a tarp.
Yeah.
You got a tarp. Traction mat.
Yeah.
Tarp. Just put it under the wheels. Yep. See. So all
what about
I
the
carry.
Small shovel. What about the small shovel?
All I carry is a tarp.
A tarp.
Tarp.
Just a tarp.
Just
leave the house with a tarp.
Everything on your list can be replaced with a tarp.
It's
the iPhone of winter gear.
It was actually the inspiration for the iPhone. They're like, if only we could make a phone that was as useful as this tarp, then we would really have something. You know, to me, the tarp for me is a military poncho. You can use a military poncho for fucking anything.
No. See, your military poncho is just a tarp with a hole in it.
Tarp with a hole in it. Yeah. You cut a hole in the tarp. Put your head through that.
Put your head through it.
You're ready to go. Yeah,
everything on your list can be replaced.
Could be a tarp. No, that's a good point. You know, it is a good point. Must have a tarp. One must have a tarp.
Yeah.
I don't carry a tarp. I think I might throw one in there.
It's so good. You know, in all honesty, I'm being actually serious here. The I think it's the 11x7 silver tarp from Harbor Freight.
Yeah,
it's like $7 and keeps you from getting wet. You know, you can put it above you. You know, tie it on a string. You know, to make a little shelter. You can put it underneath the car if you have to work on it, so you don't get slush or sleet or snow on yourself. Stay dry. I mean, it really does have a variety of uses, and it's super handy. I definitely recommend the tarp.
You make a tarp hammock.
And it doesn't take up much space in your car.
No, it's easy to fly. You put it under the seat.
So great. You can make a funnel out of it, you know, just crimp it together.
You can make a fun children's fort, you know, keep the kids entertained. Yeah, it's great. If you need to tie up a body or something, throw it in the river, you just put it in the tarp.
You can use it as a sled. You can put people in the tarp, and never mind. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah, that's a whole different thing. Yeah,
that's
a different kind of recovery. But a funny story. I used to live on an old military base, and they're an abandoned, haunted,
just in a missile silo.
Yeah, in a missile silo. Yeah, and for those of you who maybe haven't lived in military housing, often, especially in Canada, the ditches on either side, the drainage, there's no sidewalks or any of that. They just dig a trench between the road and the house, and there's a little gap in the trench for a driveway, so you can drive over the trench to get in. And they just let the snow and everything just kind of like run into the trench, and then the ground absorbs it, and it's fine. You don't need to worry about it. The problem is when it snows enough, the trench is invisible, and so folks coming to deliver pizzas to the house, Chinese food. I feel bad because a poor Chinese food guy, he would come, he would deliver food, and he would back out of our driveway, and you could see, because our living room kind of, faced the road, and you'd see the headlights, pulling out of the driveway, and then they would be pointing at the roof, because it would just go backwards, and the back wheels would go in, and those lights would be pointing at the ceiling.
And you never thought maybe we should put a reflector on a post or something to give them an idea of where the road
thought
is.
Of that. Instead, I would back the Defender in, and I would have a tow strap just kind of wrapped around the bumper, and I would just quickly run out, throw the tow strap on the guy's car, back the Defender up a little bit, pull him out of the thing, and he was done, and I was off to dinner. So, so I like to have a tow strap, because if you have a big 4x4 vehicle, especially in like the part of Canada that I'm from, we're all extremely helpful. We're required by the Queen to help each other out of ditches when we find ourselves in them, and so we always have the little pull pal kind of kit there, so that a dynamic rope and a little shackle, or I had like a tow truck recovery hook. That works pretty good for like pulling the air dams off of Subarus. Real good at doing that. Done that a couple times. Yeah, I don't know. Nowadays, you probably have to have a waiver that you'd have to have somebody sign before you could pull them out of the ditch.
You let them hook up the tow hook to their own car.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah,
I ripped
to put it there.
I ripped the exhaust off a cop car doing that one time.
Yeah.
I was like, officer, you have to hook this up yourself. And he did, and he hooked it to the exhaust.
That's not how that works.
Yeah.
That's not how that works. What about, how do you feel about chains? Have you ever lived anywhere where you have to chain up to go up?
I live somewhere now where I have to chain up. Here in the Valley of Oregon, we don't get a lot of snow, but there's a number of mountain passes around where I live. And so if you want to go anywhere in the winter, you have to carry chains, even if four-wheel drive cars. And if you're towing a trailer, the trailer has to have chains.
Oh, really?
So it is actually pretty critical. I like the V-bar chains, they've got a little V welded to each chain link. And those do give you a lot of traction on and off road. So I do carry chains in my cars when I'm driving over the passes in the winter time.
Yeah, and bog clogs. Just stick them on the car, bog clog through.
Yeah, I like
to show on the bog clog.
A lot of people are chains on the back, but I'm actually a chains on the front person. If I'm only going to run two chains, two chains. At any rate,
that's why they call you Ike Two Chains.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and that way you can steer. I don't know how many of you like to steer, but I like to steer. And so what you find is a lot of people put the chains on the back, and then they just go straight off the road.
Perfect traction to send them right over the cliff. Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, they get there way quicker than if they didn't have those chains on the back. But I usually have all four chains. Sometimes going up to Big Bear here, you'd have to have them. And in Canada, there are times of the year where you just don't ever take the chains off. You just have them ready driving the town. That's why the roads are completely destroyed through the national parks and things.
The Forest Rovers getting chains.
Ooh, whoa! What kind of chains go on a Forest Rover? That's
the best kind.
It's a chain ladder from like a child's playground. It's just like a 5 meter long set of chains. Wow, that sounds awesome.
Oh yeah, it's gonna get chains. Yeah, for sure. Actually,
how do you make those wheels bigger and heavier? It had chains. Yeah,
chains.
Yeah.
Chains are
you
awesome.
going to open up a CrossFit gym so you can have people fit them and unfit them for you as an exercise regime?
No, they're just going to stand around like waving the chains like Ubers.
Yeah, and flip your tires over and stuff. It's a good way to get the tires rotated, though.
Just invite those CrossFit dudes over.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm sure they're already, the standing Wednesday lunch invitation from the CrossFit gang over at the Penguin 4x4 garage there. There's a lot of crossover. So
you know how you can tell if somebody does CrossFit?
No, how can you tell?
They will tell you.
Oh, yeah. Yep, it's true. So what about a block heater? You run the old block heaters up there? You ever do that?
I have a few cars with block heaters, and we don't necessarily have to use them here in the Valley, but every once in a while I get a car from a cold place, and it has a block heater on them, and they're great. Yeah, it's cool. The coolant block heaters are fabulous. They work really well. Just plug them in overnight. There's also the diesel-fired block heaters, and I think there's some even some petrol-powered block heaters, and you can just like stand in your house and turn those on, and it heats the coolant up. And
nice.
I think the Eberspacher makes a heater like that. That's it really is nice. The heater's hot when you get in your car. Super nice.
Yeah, it's super cool. They in Canada we will run extension cords over the sidewalk, and like the fancy houses will have like a little kind of hook thing that will take it up over top of the sidewalk. Everybody else just lays it across the sidewalk, and or the problem is you'll have the little shovel sweeper sort of snowblower things that'll come by and just whip that cable in half, and you come out and your car's frozen solid in the morning, so you can't go. But everybody's got a front yard cable to plug in their car along the street. That's very popular in Canada.
Man,
we're ready to electrify the country already. Our cars have been plugged in since the 1970s. So no problem. Yeah, we're ready to go.
That would make it good.
It's very easy for us. So finally, a Land Rover in the movies. As I know you are a huge fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Sure.
And in fact, we're featured prominently in the Black Widow film. As the Russian equivalent of Captain America. Great performance, by the way. I think you did an outstanding job.
Oh, thank you. That's sweet of you to say. Now, this is not the first Marvel movie that we're going to discuss that's had Land Rovers in it.
Is that true? Is there another one that I'm not aware of?
There is. It's a brief one. It's a brief scene, but it's a very noteworthy one. I really do enjoy it. It's I believe one of the Thor movies. I think. I think that the Hulk is riding in the back of the Defender. Or maybe it's an Avengers movie. At any rate, it's one of those films. Hulk is riding in the back of a Defender 110, and the Defender is like really sagging ass as it's driving. They're going to see Thor, and he's riding in the back. That's actually pretty funny. It's a pretty funny scene with the Land Rover. But today's tell us about today's Land Rover in the movies.
Well, today's is the brand new and critically acclaimed Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings, which is fantastic. Shang-Chi is one of quite an old Marvel story, actually Marvel comic book. A lot of people think that he was invented for the cinematic universe, but he has comic books ranging back to really far back, easily the 60s, if not even before that. But anyways, great film. But every bad guy in the film, and in fact, the 10 Rings, which is the sort of bad guy gang, all drive black 110 Land Rovers. They look to be Puma. It's not a Puma. They look to be Pumas. TDCI Defenders. I don't like that. I don't know why. I don't like the Puma name. I like TDCI. It's fine. I know what you're talking about. The bumpy hood one. I got it.
That's one of those vicious animals that doesn't sound very vicious, like a cougar, a cougar, a jaguar. Like a mountain lion. Those all sound kind of vicious, but a puma. It just sounds like it just sounds like an ill cat.
Like ew.
Ew.
Oh, ew. Yeah. Anyways, they have tons of pumas in the show. All the bad guys, they drive them. Several are destroyed in a scene in the film, and the good guys, Shang-Chi and his gang, they drive a BMW X5 or whatever the SUV, the all-electric SUV that's coming out next year. That's what they drive. So great branding opportunity for BMW. Not so great for Land Rover, seeing as they don't actually make that car anymore. There's really not much to some Hollywood vehicle rental place. It's certainly not one here in LA, but somebody over in the UK, man, just has a fleet of black Defenders that seem to be the bad guy car in every movie these days.
I was actually unclear as to whether there was just one and they were replicating it in CGI or whether there were actual multiple Defenders used in the film. But if you like a kung fu movie or you like a superhero movie, this is it's worth watching. And
it's great. It's got Aquafina in it. She's super funny. It's good. Yeah, it gets a little Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon-y. They've got some wire work. Michelle Yeoh is in it. Yeah, it's a good show. Speaking of Crouching Tiger, it's a good movie. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good, and it's a dip into a part of the Marvel comic book world that people don't necessarily entirely appreciate. So
eventually they'll have a superhero that represents every ethnicity possible.
Oh, without question. And Marvel already
was the Eternals. That was the Eternals.
The Eternals, yeah. And that film, I haven't seen it yet. And I'm a big comic book guy, and I haven't seen it yet. I'm waiting. I'm going to wait until it comes out on Disney Plus because I just, I'm not. I went to see Ghostbusters. No question. I was. There was no world in which I was missing Ghostbusters. But I'm not going to risk. I'm not going to risk death for the old Eternals. It's an interesting comic book, but it's some weird Jack Kirby stuff. I don't know. A lot of block chin sort of drawing people. I don't know. It's not my favorite thing in the whole world. But anyways, Shang-Chi absolutely full of Defender, chock-a-block full, if you will, of Land Rover Puma Defenders. So check it out.
Yeah, for sure.
Go see it. It's worth it. It's on Disney Plus now, and you can watch it for no additional money, which is always nice. So Ike, that's wrapping it up for this week. Another week in the book, episode 42. We're already at episode 42. Holy moly.
I am crushed that we didn't have any time to discuss Nando's.
You are right. Unfortunately, we've completely run out again of time this week for Nando's. So we apologize to them for not getting to Ike's review of Nando's. We will make sure to make time for that.
We'll get to it.
Yeah, we're going to get to it for sure. Next week, we have none other than Bob Ives, Camel Trophy winner. Land Rover Icon. I'll tell you, man, these last few weeks, I mean, our new publicist is really
getting some good guests,
knocking it out of the park. Yeah, knocking it out of the park. So we'll talk to Bob, obviously, about Camel Trophy, about winning the event in '89, about his Defender that he won the trophy in. He still owns it. It's there on the farm. We saw it when we were there visiting him. Talked to him about why there's so many bog clogs lying around his farm.
A lot of bog clogs.
A lot of bog, a lot. And and any number of other things. Looking very forward to that. Of course, last week's episode, if you haven't heard, the incomparable Jeremy Hart,
amazing dude,
journalist, and just all around great guy. We're gonna have Jeremy on again at some point in the future to get to the other 100 stories that he has, and we've got some fun stuff coming up on the old please, if you are interested in getting stuff by Christmas, for again anyone that maybe owes you money or you feel as though have slighted you during the year and you'd like to get them a gift from the Underpowered Hour store, order soon, because in order to get it to you for Christmas, we're going to need it in the next couple of weeks, as Ike and I are taking little break over the holiday, and so although there will be shows, you won't notice, but we sure will, because we're not going to be doing it every week. So look forward to things that are taken wildly out of time, and if there's big news that happens over that time, we'll be completely oblivious. So we'll catch up in the new year. But Ike, as always, it's been nothing but a pleasure. Stay warm, enjoy the toque, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, Stephen, it was great. Looking forward to next time. Take care.